What's going on YouTube? So today's video we're going to be looking at how to repair a chair leg that is broken. This particular chair is the one that I'm going to be fixing. I'm going to show you how to actually replace it and fix it to where it'll be just as strong as it was before, if not stronger. As you can see, it's got a pretty good break there. So this chair is actually my kitchen chair, and yes, I can afford to replace it, but these chairs I actually restored the table and the chairs before, and I'd like to keep them just because these used to be my grandparents'. I repurposed them, made them look brand new, reupholstered them with a nice vinyl leather look padding, and they look really nice and they have a sentimental value to me. So that's the reason I just don't throw it away. So we're going to fix it and we will show you how to do that. The reason it broke is not because the chairs are too old or fragile or anything like that. It's because of these felt sliders. So I originally was using a glue or stick-on rather felt slider for the end of these chairs. They kept coming off, so I would glue them, and then under the weight and the wood floor, and sliding around and everything else, the felt slider would come off basically, and then it would leave the glue residue, stick to the wood floor and all that. So I started putting on these nail-on felt sliders. Well, the problem with that was I got all of them put on. This one, it just kind of sat a little funny. It's on there secure and everything, but I just figured I need one more good smack with the hammer, and one more good smack did that. So that's the reason that we're going to be repairing them. What we're going to do is we're going to actually use wood glue. I'm going to use a Gorilla wood glue. It's what they call a PVA style wood glue. The glue will dry stronger than the wood was originally. And that's the kind of glue you would want to use for this project, is a PVA glue. I thought about using a liquid nail just to get a really strong bond there, but liquid nails is not really sandable, and it's not really easy to clean up. So if it squirted out on the edges or something, it would probably end up looking bad, and I didn't want that. So we're going to use Gorilla wood glue and some dowel pins. So what I'm going to probably be a good time to go ahead and tell you, if you're going to do this, what you need. So you're going to need drill bits, preferably the size, well, not preferably, but the size of your dowel rods or dowel pins. Dowel pins, I'm using some 5/16 dowel pins. So in this situation, I'm going to need a 5/16 drill bit. You're going to need a drill, tape measure, and a hammer of some kind. Probably better to use a rubber mallet, but I don't want to spend the time to dig mine out. I don't really know where it is, and my shop is a little bit disorganized right now. So we're going to roll with a regular hammer. But let me go ahead and put the camera back up, and then I'll show you how we're going to do this. Forgot to mention, guys, this is the glue that I'm using. Really, any PVA glue will do. I like Gorilla Glue for the wood glue. It doesn't have to be this, but this is the brand that I'm using. Tight Bond is another good one, but really any PVA style glue will work. All right, guys, so here's my clamp setup from earlier. I ended up using 3 different clamps, 2 top and bottom right here and here. And then I also used a third one side to side to kind of pull all the grains together right along this crack here. It kind of squeezed it together and made it hold a little bit better there. So at this point, the glue is dry enough for me to go ahead and drill and start inserting our dowels. Now, typically, guys, on your dowel pins, you typically want to use just a little over half the length of the dowel pin. You don't ever want to put the whole dowel pin in the full length, just because the way the dowel pins work, they basically get their compression off the hole that it's in with the glue that you put in the hole, and the glue goes around these ridges here. So that's how it gets the compression, that's how it gets the strength. So you don't want to use the whole thing. Some people will try to use the whole thing and try to drill it all the way through, and that doesn't necessarily work. So what we're going to do, though, is we've got our crack right here, and I'm going to find 3 places here where I can get a dowel pin to go across the length of our joint to get our fracture there, and that's going to be the places where I actually insert the dowel pins. All right, now we got our clamps back on and we got our dowel pins in. You can tell that I used a little bit more than halfway on some of these. The reason being is because of how this crack is. I wanted to make sure I got all the way across the cracked joint. As a general rule, you don't want to use more than half, but in this particular application and the way that I'm using it, I wanted to make sure I got all the way in. So there you have it. All right, so it's been 24 hours. We're going to go ahead and take off our clamps and see what we got. One thing I forgot to mention about tools you'll want is some kind of small trim saw so that you can trim the end of these dowels off. That way we can get those cleaned up and trimmed flat and then fill the cracks and the holes. So that's what we're going to do next. All right, now we got the holes trimmed. I've filled these with some vinyl spackling along the cracks and where dowel pins are. Sanded it down a little bit just to get it a little smooth, and then put on a little bit of a light coat of this vinyl spackling. You can use wood filler. I mean, mostly, wood filler obviously is better, or the only option, if you've got a stain that you're using or something like that. I like this because it sands super, super smooth, and, but since we're painting the chair anyway, it really doesn't matter. So I'm using lightweight vinyl spackling, but like I said, if it's a natural wood tone, or if you're doing some kind of stain or something like that on your repair, then you're going to need to use some kind of wood filler. So that wraps up the repair, guys. This was a special video for me just because these are my grandparents' chairs and a process that my grandfather taught me on how to repair them. I am going to still spray it. I'm not going to show that to you, but I'm just going to touch it up with some Rust-Oleum Gloss White to match the paint I originally used. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, and we will see you on the next video.